In almost every part of the country, we are seeing a rise in COVID cases. Let's focus on the city of Mumbai because Mumbai has witnessed the biggest COVID spike in the last 7 months. The financial capital has reported more than 2,500 COVID cases in the last 24 hours. The Omicron count stands at 167 in Maharashtra. Mumbai reported 2,510 fresh COVID infections and 1 death on Wednesday, a staggering jump of 300% in its tally on Monday. As fears also of a third wave looms large over Maharashtra, the state government has imposed stricter curbs. Citizens have been advised to stay at home and celebrate the new year. No parties, no large gatherings are allowed in the wake of rising cases. Citizens above 60 years of age and below 10 years are advised not to step out of home unless absolutely necessary. The state government has also asked citizens not to crowd famous tourist spots like the Gateway of India, Marine Drive or Juhu Chowpatty. The only ray of hope for the state government is that the fatality count hasn't gone up and there's no jump in reported hospitalization numbers either. So even if there is at this point an outbreak, it is mild and mostly asymptomatic cases. Rajdeep Sardesai also spoke exclusively to a member of the COVID task force, Dr. Shashank Joshi, on Mumbai's Omicron surge and the fight against this variant.
Dr. Joshi, you're at the heart of it. Mumbai registering more than 2,000 cases in the last 24 hours. Is this cause for worry or are you optimistic because hospitalizations remain low?
This is a cause for concern and caution. There is no need to panic. Clearly 2,500 cases. Look at the doubling time. In the doubling time has been only 4 days. From 600 cases to 1,330 plus cases yesterday and from 1,330 to 2,500 cases today. So, and all cases are mild and hospital infrastructure is not at all dented. Which means indirectly, even without a genomic sequencing, the Delta has been in Mumbai more than 80% replaced by Omicron. No question asked about it. It is a clear-cut diagnosis there. And therefore, Omicron is a milder strain. Hospitalizations are less, severe disease is less, mortality is less. And let us hope and pray that the entire Delta is fully replaced by Omicron, which is a milder disease. Only thing is the numbers are huge and we can still dent it.
But can I get clarity, doctor, from you? You're telling me that this rise is driven largely by Omicron, even without the genome sequencing. You're telling me that?
Absolutely. Because if you have 2 times doubling going up in a span of such a short duration of 4 to 5 days, the data is overwhelming and clear cut that this is Omicron. So I can bet my last bet on it that when they do the genome sequencing, 80% or more will be Omicron. There is no question asked. This is a clinical diagnosis.
Okay.
It is mild disease. Hospitals are not overwhelmed. We are seeing more than 2,500 cases per day. And still, in the hospital system, this is not Delta for sure. This is not Delta derivative for sure. This is Omicron.
Okay,
and there is a community cluster outbreak in Mumbai for sure. Third wave in Mumbai has started. No question asked.
Third wave in Mumbai has started, but you're saying the symptoms are mild and it's being driven by Omicron.
Like in Mumbai, it's pretty much the similar situation in the national capital. COVID cases have actually doubled in the last 24 hours. Delhi's reported 923 fresh cases on Wednesday, a steep rise from the 496 cases that were detected a day earlier. The positivity rate has also jumped up now to 1.29%. About 38% of the total samples analyzed at various genome sequencing laboratories in Delhi in the past 1 week have been detected with the Omicron variant, as the city also witnesses a spike in cases of the super mutant variant. The Delhi Disaster Management Authority, which is on a wait-and-watch mode, decided not to impose any fresh curbs in the national capital, but continue essentially the yellow alert of the graded response action plan for some time. A decision on further restrictions will be taken in the next Delhi Disaster Management Authority's meeting after monitoring, very importantly, the bed occupancy in hospitals. And it's because in anticipation of this kind of a rise in cases that fresh curbs are in place in the national capital. You've got schools, colleges, spas, gyms, cinemas, all of that being shut over the Omicron scare and the spike in COVID cases. Long queues were witnessed outside several metro stations. Crowded bus stops also were seen as services operated at 50%. Now, is India ready for a third wave? What are states doing to tackle the super mutant threat? In our next report, we give you all those answers.
Omicron cases spike across India. It is deja vu as states are back with strict curbs and night curfews to prevent holiday season explosion. Delhi enforced lockdown-like curbs, with eateries, bars, metros, trains and buses running at 50% capacity. Long queues of commuters were witnessed outside metro stations.
Was there 50% seating in the metro?
No.
What was going on? Full seating?
No, it was full sitting.
It was full seating. Yes. Restriction नहीं था अभी अंदर.
नहीं. इतना ज़्यादा इफेक्ट हो रहा है बिजनेस पे कि हमारा जो कस्टमर अपना है वो अब टूट गया है. पहले तो जो था अब वैसी सेल नहीं आ रही है हमारे पास. तो ये हमारे लिए तो बहुत बड़ा झटका है.
Under the GRAP 1 yellow alert guidelines, markets and malls are allowed to open stores on an odd even basis only. In addition, restaurants and pubs have been restricted to 50% of seating capacity, and restaurants will be closed at 8 p.m. while bars can remain open till 10 p.m.
Section 144 remains in place across Maharashtra till December 31st. Hosting parties at beaches are banned. Night curfew is in place between 9 p.m. to 6 a.m.
मुंबई का पॉजिटिविटी रेट अभी 4% हो गया है, लेकिन 5 के आगे का पॉजिटिविटी रेट निश्चित तौर पर बहुत ही अलार्मिंग होता है. तो हमें रेस्ट्रिक्शंस के बारे में भी गंभीरता से सोचना पड़ेगा.
Chandigarh is witnessing a huge surge in number of vaccinations as people get spooked by Omicron. A 500 rupee fine on unvaccinated and ban from public places.
नई गाइडलाइंस की वजह से हम टीका लगवाने आए हैं. सरकार ने जब से सख्ती दिखाई है तब से हमने दूसरी डोज लगवाने का मन बनाया.
West Bengal recorded over 700 cases on Tuesday. It has set up 2 genome sequencing centers to detect Omicron.
West Bengal government has chosen to lift the night curfew that was there in terms of the restrictions, but it could be that after the 1st of Jan the restrictions would again be in place, considering the fact that the cases are on the rise.
But Hyderabad has curiously relaxed bar timings till 1 a.m. on New Year and allowing New Year parties with precautions. Is India ready to face the possible third wave? With Anisha Mathur in Delhi, Mustafa Sheikh in Mumbai, Lalit Sharma in Chandigarh, Prema Rajaram in Kolkata and Ashish in Hyderabad. Bureau Report, India Today. Co-presented by Berger Paints. Paint your imagination.
Ahead of elections in Uttarakhand, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today will be in Haldwani to inaugurate 23 development projects worth a whopping 17,500 crores. This is going to be the Prime Minister's 4th visit to the state in less than 3 months.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a mega Vikas mission in Uttarakhand. The Prime Minister will be in Haldwani to lay the foundation stone of 23 projects worth 17,500 crore rupees. These include projects varying from irrigation, roads, housing, health infrastructure to drinking water supply. Apart from these, the Prime Minister will also inaugurate a hydropower facility in Pittorgarh. But the main highlight will be an AIIMS in Haldwani that will cater to the needs of Kumaon region. This will be the second AIIMS in the state, in addition to the one in Rishikesh. After the inaugurations, Prime Minister will also be addressing a rally in the pole-bound state. Ahead of the visit, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami visited Haldwani to take review of the preparations.
एम्स की सैटेलाइट सेंटर का भी कल शिलान्यास होने वाला है. लखवाड़ योजना जो हमारी 57 करोड़ की योजना है, उस योजना का भी शिलान्यास होने वाला है. बहुत सारी सड़कें हैं, मेडिकल कॉलेज है हमारा पिथौरागढ़ का, अन्य भी बहुत सारी योजनाएं हैं जो आने वाले समय में हमारे यहाँ विकास का एक मील का पत्थर ही साबित होने वाली है. पीएम साहब ठीक 1 बजे यहाँ पर पहुँच जाएंगे और लगभग 2:30 बजे तक उनका कार्यक्रम रहेगा.
This will be Prime Minister Modi's fourth visit to the state in less than 3 months. The BJP is pulling out all stops to ensure it can cash in on all the development projects in the state in the assembly elections next year. With Rahul Singh Dharmwal in Haldwani, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's focus on Uttar Pradesh now. Even before the construction of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya, the Indian Railways is creating a mini replica of the Ram Temple in the form of a revamped Ayodhya Railway Junction as development works in the run-up to the UP elections is gaining steam. Milind Sharma has filed this exclusive ground report.
Ayodhya, the birthplace of Lord Ram. The holy city. It's now buzzing with activity. Infrastructure projects are picking up speed. As the construction of Ram Mandir continues, development is not far behind.
The sounds of machines and construction equipment at the Ram Janmabhoomi herald the fact that work for the construction of Ram Temple is happening at warp speed. But at the same time, the Indian government is also revamping a railway station right next to it because they expect at least 1 lakh devotees to come here to pray to Lord Ram at the new temple when it will be constructed. It's going to be a big magnum opus for the Uttar Pradesh government when the Ram Temple will be made.
The Ayodhya railway station will be the focal point of the city. The station will be a mini replica of the Ram Temple.
इसमें जो आउटसाइड में आप पत्थर देख रहे हैं, ये बंसी पहाड़पुर पत्थर लग रहा है जो राम मंदिर में यूज होगा, उसी क्वेरी से लग रहा है, राजस्थान से पत्थर आया। और अंदर फैसिलिटीज के लिए हम लोग अगर इसमें बात करें तो इसमें हम 6 लिफ्टें दे रहे हैं, 4 एक्सेलेटर्स दे रहे हैं। इसमें फूड प्लाजा हैं, एक ग्राउंड फ्लोर पर है, एक फर्स्ट फ्लोर पर है। और इसमें एयरपोर्ट के में जैसे शॉप्स देते हैं, अगर कोई पैसेंजर आएगा तो उसको कोई अगर पूजा की सामग्री है यहाँ भी मिल सकता है, तो ऐसे शॉप्स भी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं।
The station is spread over 1 lakh square feet and will have cloakrooms and retiring rooms. It will also have shops that will cater specifically to devotees. There will be 2 foot-over bridges and an escalator for smooth movement. Another entry point to the station is being made by acquiring 15.96 hectares of land. The cost of the project is estimated to be around 126 crore rupees.
Total land that we have proposed for acquisition is 15.96 hectare, and it consists of private land as well as nuzul land.
Is that going to be a challenge, because usually land acquisitions have been known to delay many crucial projects in the country?
Recently, you must have observed that the land acquisition has been very smooth because the rate of land has been very reasonable. So I don't think there will be any problem.
Presently, the old Faizabad station is the only one connected to express trains, few of which come to Ayodhya Junction. Devotees and locals are thrilled with the redevelopment.
स्टेशन बहुत अच्छा बना, व्यवस्था बहुत अच्छा हुआ, ये सब बहुत अच्छी बात है यहाँ के लिए, विकास के लिए।
पहले से बहुत ज्यादा ही विकास हो गया है और यहाँ की स्वर्णिम छटा बहुत अच्छी लग रही है। ऐसा लग रहा है कि फिर से सतयुग की वापसी हो रही है और पूरा राम राज्य फिर से स्थापित हो रहा है। हम लोग बहुत खुश हैं।
निश्चित रूप से जो हमारे राम जन्मभूमि रामलला का निर्माण हो रहा है, काफी लंबे समय से हिंदुओं में एक इच्छा थी, हम नारे लगाते थे, भगवान श्री राम की सौगंध खाते हैं, मंदिर बनाएंगे, लेकिन अब वो सपना अपना पूरा होने जा रहा है।
The construction of the temple and the development here has been marred by politics. The latest being allegations of irregularities in acquiring land.
विपक्ष जो है वो
झूठ बोलती है और विपक्ष खाली रोना रो रही है, रुदन कर रही है, क्योंकि उसके पास कुछ है नहीं बोलने के लिए। इसलिए कोई ना कोई आरोप प्रत्यारोप वो लगाती रहती है, तो उसके आरोप प्रत्यारोप से हमारे ऊपर कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला।
यूपी में चुनाव भी हैं, विपक्षी पार्टियां इस पर राजनीति भी खेल रही हैं, कह रही हैं कि राम मंदिर का चंदा चुराया गया या फिर जमीन पर वो हुआ।
प्रभु देख रहे हैं सब।
The first phase of Ayodhya railway station is expected to be completed by March 2022.
Well, the Yogi government may say that they are not looking to do vote bank politics and are only looking to redevelop holy cities like Ayodhya, but definitely with the redevelopment of the railway station in Ayodhya as well as the construction of the Ram temple, it will surely translate to votes in the upcoming Uttar Pradesh elections. And we'll have to wait and see how much that is going to benefit the Yogi government and the party that is once again waiting to clinch a victory in the state elections. With Pavan Kumar from Ayodhya, this is Milan Sharma for India Today.
And here's a story that's creating ripples in Karnataka. The state government has announced that it will make Hindu temples now independent of the state, essentially no state control. The Bomma-led government hopes to pass the bill to free Hindu religious institutions in Karnataka before the next budget session. The decision was taken at a BJP executive meeting held in Karnataka's Hubballi. The Karnataka government hopes to lift rules under which temple managements have to seek permission from the state to utilize their income for development, something that's in practice in many states. If passed, this law essentially will help temples and allow temples in the state to manage their own affairs and development. Welcome back. India have their noses well ahead in the Centurion test after they reduced South Africa to 85 for 3 in their run chase of 305. While captain Dean Elgar is unbeaten on 51, he'd need others also to rally around him. Here's how the match is nicely poised heading into the final day.
63 runs and both overnight batsmen gone. The first session on day 4 ended even Stevens for both sides.
There's a chance there and taken.
While the South Africans kept the runs under check, India didn't allow them to run through their batting order. But Indian captain Virat Kohli was gone first ball after lunch, like he was replicating his dismissal from the first innings.
Kohli, the captain, has gone first ball after the break.
Pujara was then strangled down the leg side, and while Rahane hit a few boundaries, he too perished after a top edge carried to deep backward square.
Rolled his list, but unfortunately for him, he's found the fielder out in the deep.
With wickets tumbling one after the other, Rishabh Pant decided to play his shots.
Cracked away for 4.
The southpaw struck a runner ball 34 before he offered a dolly to mid-on.
No such luck.
With awkward bounce troubling the batsman almost every ball, India were eventually bowled out for 174, setting South Africa a 305-run target.
Remember for a long time.
Mohammad Shami started where he left in the first innings. He managed to uproot Aiden Markram's stumps in his very first over.
Hard onto the stumps. What a breakthrough for India.
While Elgar and Peterson looked solid together, Siraj produced a beauty to send the number 3 back.
And there's the breakthrough that India is after.
Rassie van der Dusen then provided the much-needed support to captain Dean Elgar.
Gone quickly for 4.
The duo steadied the ship, but just when it looked like the host would go unscathed into the stumps, Jasprit Bumrah produced a ripper to get rid of van der Dusen.
What a delivery! What a delivery!
The night watchman too didn't last the night, with Bumrah's searing Yorker crashing into Keshav Maharaj's leg stump in the final over of the day.
Under the batter, Maharaj.
With South Africa still needing well over 200 runs, India are still the favourites to win the test. But with chances of rain on day 5, all 3 results are possible. The first test is headed for an exciting finish. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Outstanding stuff from Dean Elgar.